This is going to be an example for you guys for finding the slope of a line when you're using a graph. We talked about it yesterday in our Zoom meeting. So the first thing I want you to notice is where that says reminder, right? You have in green that if this line slants up and to the right, so you have that forward slash, the slope is positive. If the line slants up and to the left, then the slope is negative. You have that backward slash. So that's one shortcut you can use when you're trying to figure out if your slope is positive or negative. Just look at the line. Does it go up and to the right? Then it's positive. Does it go up and to the left? Then it's negative. So already when we look at this line, I even made it in green to make it a little bit easier for you to see it. So our line is going up and to the right. So we know our slope is going to be positive. So the next thing I need to do is remind myself that slope can also be, and let's go ahead and write it here, rise over run. Basically what that means is we need to figure out the up, and then we need to figure out the horizontal. Okay, so I'm going to come over to my graph, and I've got to find 2 points that the line goes straight through that plus sign. Right? My plus sign is a little bit weird, but hopefully y'all get at the idea. So the first one that I see when I'm looking at this is this one right here. All right, so I'm going to make a big dot right here. And then I'm going to look on my line. Where else does it intersect? And I've got one right here where it intersects. All right, so I have my 2 points, so I can start trying to figure this out. So the next thing I need to do is draw my triangle, right? When we talk about that, we're talking about drawing the rise and the run to get from one point to the other point. So I'm going to draw a line down from my second point right here. So let's draw a line down to this point. And then I'm going to need to draw a line over because that's going to be my run. All right, well, we got to close out this line first. All right. So let's go back and start another line. And we're going to go from here to where it intersects as a triangle. So what my next step would be is I've got to figure out, well, first of all, what's my rise? So how far does it go up from that triangle? So I've got to make my hops. So when I'm looking at my hops, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I know where I went up 3. And that could be a little bit better. Let's see. So y'all can read it just a little better. I want to make sure I'm writing clear enough for you to see it. So let's go ahead and do our 3. So I went up 3. Now I'm going to look at my run. My run is my horizontal line. So I've got to go from here. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know I went 4 spaces. So I know the slope of my line is 3/4, and I know it's positive. So using a graph, usually that's one of the easiest ways for you to find slope, because you're going to draw your triangle first, and then you're going to just count your hops for your rise and your run. If you're not sure, you can't tell, you can always test it by using your ordered pairs. All right, so I'm going to look at my ordered pairs. My first one, the one that was right here, I've got 2 for my x, and I've got a -1 for my y. My second point, going up that line, it's at 6 for my x, and it's at 2 for my y. So now I can go ahead and go back to my slope-intercept form just to check that I did everything right. So I had my y2 minus my y1. I have my x2 minus my x1. So now let's put it in our formula right here. I'm going to look at my x1, y1, because remember x is always the first number, x2, y2. So my y's go on the top. My rise on the top is always my y. So the numerator in my fraction is always going to be the y. So here's the y. I've got 2 minus a -1. Make sure you remember that that's a -1 when you're working this out. So then I'm going to write down for my x's. I have 6 and 2. So I'm going to go 6 minus 2. That's the easiest one. 6 minus 2, 6 take away 2 is going to give you 4. Now for my operation with my y, I'm going to go 2 minus a negative 1. So when you're putting in your calculator, make sure you do 2 minus a negative 1. Sometimes you have to do 2 minus, select the 1, and then push the negative so that it gives it a negative 1. Or you can go back to 6th grade and go add a line, change the sign, and that becomes 2 plus 1. So 2 plus 1 is 3. My slope is 3/4, just like I did when I looked at my graph and I counted my hops. All right, so hopefully that's going to help you to refer back to, and I will talk to you guys later.